My background is that I had training in natural sciences for 2 years in Helsinki University of Technology, and then I switched over to computer science and did my most of work in software technology, and now my current research area is educational technology, and so I'm working more like in computing educational research, so coming back to social sciences. Now, when I think about this McGrath's book, one of the things that I really enjoyed this is that when compared to some other of these kinds of dialogue books between natural scientists and people of faith, one good example is the Finnish books by Juha Pihkala and Esko Valtaoja, and I think that these people, they just don't talk together. They don't talk on different things, and I, for example, I don't recognize that type of Christianity mentioned by Esko Valtaoja. It doesn't exist there where I have been in the Christian fields. So it's kind of something which very extreme. And now I want to have a few words about this book. Your book, McGrath, it really gives an analytical and scientific perspective of discussion on a very neutral level on comparing these two fields, theology as well as natural sciences. And I got some ideas yesterday evening when I was thinking about what I would present, is that we have been doing in some research in my group about analyzing literature in my own field. And one of these the method that we have been using is inspired by the Pasteur's quadrant, which presents research in applied or theoretical work, as well as that whether it looks for general truths or something more practical. And now this is inspired by that, and what kind of work we have here. So in our field, we can see that we have research papers which clearly build on evidence, with empirical evidence, and then which have a theoretical part explaining things. And then we have practice reports where typically in education they tell that I did this in my classroom and it worked nicely and there were these and these kind of features. They describe something, but there is no theoretical thing there present. And then we have perspective pieces which present that I have a vision or some theory to explain something, but there's actually no current evidence to support it. And if you think about now as the comparison, what does it mean in the context of science? So obviously we have research which has a theoretical framework, and it has observed data and these built together. That's typical way of natural sciences. But then we have also that kind of science where we don't actually build on true evidence, like these cosmological theories or parallel universes. So how could you generate evidence that it actually holds? Because you would need to get evidence for another universe. And that's pretty challenging, I think so. So it is a theory. Interpretation based on some existing theories and existing observation on our current universe. But it's really deduction. And then in science, of course, we have observation data that we observe some new phenomena. It might be an anomaly in some theory that we see that there is something wrong with this data where we cannot explain it. But we just describe that this is the observation, but we cannot explain it yet. Then let's have a look. What would... Thanks. If we think about religion, I'm not sure whether I have done these analyses in such a proper thing, because I'm not a theologist. But I think that we have something here. We have where Religious experiences, people have a lot of those. And as Alistair just told, that these are really inherent in people, people that they have these kinds of experiences, feelings, or whatever they are called. And so there is not clear logical argumentation perhaps there, but there is evidence that they do have something. And I put it in the middle because something that's very strong evidence, something is like this kind of mystery feeling that you mentioned in a desert, that okay, that's evident for you. Is it evident for anyone else? Then obviously theology itself is very highly in argumentation. That's very nature of theology. I think so. And I think what, on the other hand, if you think what the atheists say, that what religion is, it's blind faith. So it has no evidence, it has no argumentation, it's just blind faith. So they would put it there. Miracles, if they happen, they might be here that, okay, we see something happened. It clearly did happen, but we have no evidence, no theoretical explanation why did it happen. And then we have different views of New Testament. If we believe that it is really building on historical empirical evidence, that those things that are told in New Testament, they are true, then we could put it there, that it has quite a lot of theological argumentation. There are different kinds of argumentation. And then there is evidence of the stories, what happens, what Jesus did, and so on. But if we don't believe it, then it comes back to this religious experiences that we have currently. So many people think that New Testament is just a description of people's religious experiences at their time. Okay, then there's one thing that I was kind of missing in your book, is that the discussion of this experience, the role of experience, and how we can how can explain it. So some questions raised into my mind. Can scientific method capture the phenomena which are caused by an actor with free will? So what happens in the phenomenon? Okay, we see something happening with science. We can probably find out that what is happening in this phenomenon if it is repeated. But if it's not repeated, it's one-time slot, like many religious experiences are. Can we explain it? And why did it happen? That's something which science typically doesn't have good answers to that. And then what kind of scientific research can we do on religious experiences? Well, typically, qualitative interpretive approaches in social sciences, they are the way to analyze those. But how much natural sciences can address the experiences, religious experiences? What can you do? Can you measure from a brain a religious experience? And then what about these charismatic experiences and phenomena? So the charismatic movement in the 1960s was very strong, and I just recently read a book by John Wimber, written in 1990, about the third wave movement, which also had a lot of charismatic actions. And they claim in the book that people have seen miracles. So actions which really don't fit into the field of natural science. Can those be researched or not? And actually, I leave one question here to be thought, that if we assume that there is God who loves us, so how could he demonstrate his presence without destroying science? And I mean science in the sense that nature is logical, and it has a logical structure, and it has natural laws, so it's not a chaos. So that it's something which we can research. And without destroying the goal of getting us to love him. Because if God would demonstrate his presence by opening the roof and saying hello to us, most of us would be highly feared. It probably wouldn't get us to love him. And so when you think about faith, that it is not something that we just believe that something is true, but faith is more like living with God. So it's confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So a way of living. So from that presence, if God wants that our faith would be that kind, so how would he act to show his presence? And that, I don't have clear answer here, but perhaps my colleagues who will follow giving their presentation, they might comment on that as well. Thank you.